Welcome to Slow and Steady, the podcast where you get to follow along as we build products in public. Each week, we'll give you an honest peek into our lives as we share our struggles, our wins, and everything in between. I'm Benedicte, and I am feeling curious.
I'm Brian. I am in the Great Smoky Mountains. Today is September the 21st, and I am feeling unfocused.
And I'm Benedikt. This is episode 109, and I'm feeling proud.
Right. Why? I'm super interested.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah. It dawned on me yesterday that Userlist is a company with a team and people working on it. And
finally, sorry.
It sounds stupid if you talk about it like that, but we started doing monthly calls with the team, quote unquote. That of course includes me and Jane, but also we have two contractors working with us for the last couple of months, mostly helping Jane with marketing.
Okay.
And we figured it's about time that we start building a little bit of company culture or community. So we started doing those calls once per month, and we had our second one yesterday, and it was the first one where both of the contractors we're working with were joining. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, Jane wasn't there because she's sick this week. But it just was crazy to just talk for an hour with two people who are working on the same thing as we are and are contributing. And we talked about what we had accomplished in the last month and what they contributed to that. And we shared photos of childhood photos and stuff like that. We talked about
it's fun
personal lives, and it was crazy to have a little bit of community around this product that we are building, or this company that we are building, and it kind of blew my mind. So that's why I'm proud.
That must feel very rewarding to see what you're in the process of building, not just the product, but a team, community around it.
It was a new experience for me. I have never had that one before.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think helped that you had to come up with what they had contributed with and what they had contributed to successfully over the month, that made you kind of realize what you've contributed with as well? Or did that not factor in?
I think it was not so much that part, but just that there are real people working.
Not feeling lonely?
We talked a little bit about the problem of remote work and feeling lonely and stuff like that, and just realizing that there's now a group of people rallying around this thing and have interactions with each other, and just because we started this thing 3 years ago, and for some reason are still going. It's insane. Yeah.
How much time in a given week or month are they working on Userlist?
I think they're both contributing a couple of hours per week. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure because they're mostly working with Jane, and that's probably also why it took me, I don't know, half a year or so for this to really sink in.
Yeah.
Because I sure, they're part of our Slack chat and stuff like that, and they post in there from time to time, but they're mostly interacting with Jane. And this was the first time that I was interacting with both of them at the same time on a call, which made us a little bit different. And kind of crazy.
Super cool.
That's really great. Did you? Sorry if you said this and I missed it. Did y'all establish that when this will be kind of a set and ongoing thing?
We're doing it once per month.
Okay. Cool.
For an hour. We talked a little bit about doing it more often but shorter. But then again, I feel like less than an hour is probably not enough time to really get into it, because I feel like the first, I don't know, 20 minutes or so are a little bit awkward, and it takes a while to warm up. So I feel like an hour is probably a good time, because otherwise you'd cut it short in the moment where it gets going. So yeah, we'll just keep going for like this for now, and let's see what else we are going to do. I think we definitely want to build a little bit more a sense of community and sense of being a team than we did before, where it felt very like the core, just me and Jane, and they kind of external to it. But now we're trying to really include them a little bit more and make them feel part of the team.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned, your Slack channels. Have you looked at Donut, that Slackbot Donut?
No, I haven't.
I don't know what their plans are like for small teams, but they've got some pretty interesting features that make just the really light touch and regular, check-ins along the way really simple and automated. And so that might be an interesting way, to keep it at 1 hour every month. With contractors, that kind of strikes me as feeling about right. But that along the way, you're getting some more personal stories, personal notes and check-ins that will probably make that first 20 minutes a little less awkward. So that's it. I mean, just one thought, just to kind of put on your radar. That's really cool. I'm really glad to hear that. That's awesome.
I have a question. Have you and Jane ever met in person? I just realized I don't know. Yeah,
we have met in person. Yeah, a couple of years ago, actually, before we even started working together. So we covered that part. I also met. I also met our other co-founder, Claire, once, but only after we started working together on Userlist. She visited for one edition of HamtoConf, the conference I'm running here in Darmstadt. And Jane was supposed to join that as well, but it was right at the time where she got pregnant with her third kid, so she couldn't come. So I'm the only one who knows every co-founder of Userlist in person.
Yeah.
I think this is so fascinating because I still talk to people, in the neighborhood and other friends who are amazed that you can have these close relationships with people that you don't really meet. And it's become so normal in some ways. And when we were doing our streaming, somebody asked, have you all met on our YouTube stream? And we were like, well, Ula and I have met because we have a kid together, but we've never met Paul, but he is like a fixture in our lives now. And you two as well, right? And it's interesting.
The same thing here, right?
Yeah. It's interesting though that I'm surprised that people are still so surprised that happens. Especially since a lot of the people, grew up the same way we did with internet in their, younger days where you often also got friends online. Well, a lot of us at least had friends online as teenagers as well. But they're like, you can't do that as adults. That's like a teenage thing, not an adult thing.
Yeah. What's funny about that is, I definitely grew up with the internet in my house. Well, once it was possible, like when I was 14, but I never really had, I never had online friends. I didn't really start making online friends until well into my 30s, which is, I didn't have the experience as a kid. And now, for sure, I have a lot of what I would definitely say, very strong friendships, good relationships with people I've never, ever, ever met in person. It's bizarre and really, I think it's cool. I think it's a step in the right direction. So it's pretty cool.
Also a little scary though. You might meet these people and be like, I don't like that IRL version of this person. I don't know. Probably not though. Probably not.
But that's a weird thing. I've never had the situation where I've met an online friend and didn't like them. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
But I once had a real life friend that I couldn't stand online.
Oh, how funny.
I don't know what it was, but the way he was behaving on forums and chats, it's just super annoying. So he was a nice person.
Oh my gosh!
In person,
I had no idea you're a troll.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't really. I don't want to say he was a troll. That wasn't the case. I mean, that would be very obvious. It's just a little bit annoying in chats and stuff like that. I don't know. It was weird.
That is super interesting.
How's design and development stuff going on Userlist? That's so cool to hear about the great steps and the sense of the team and everything. How's product going?
Yeah, it's making progress. I got the Forms UI mostly done. So you can now manage. Well, it's not deployed yet, at least not for everyone. But you can now create forms and manage the fields on them, and manage like how you want to style. Well, not style, but what content do you want on the thank you pages, and do you want to redirect somewhere? So that I built all of that last week. And this week, I'm basically trying to figure out what else absolutely has to be in there, because my list of things I want to do is pretty long. But I'm wondering what's the least like the minimal thing that we can launch, so I don't get too ahead of myself.
I'm so sorry if you've said this before and I'm forgetting, but is it released in any form at all to beta users or anything like that, or no?
The UI part of it isn't. Okay. The underlying lifted restrictions and stuff like that, that's released to a couple of people.
Okay.
Benedicte being one of them. But the UI isn't, and that's basically what I'm contemplating right now. What's missing for me to actually merge this and release this, and then what else do I need to build before we can publicly launch this?
Yeah, launch it to Benedicte and then let her tell you.
Oh yeah. I'll break it.
I will. Oh, I'm sure you will. It's still in a phase where I break it regularly because it's still lacking here and there. But I mean, I'm just glad I made some progress for once. But I'm still cleaning up a lot of things. Like I made a mistake last week and did run a linter for JavaScript and our templates, and it came back with like 800 warnings.
Oh my word.
So I was like, oh, okay. Apparently the community evolved some standards that I didn't really think about yet. So I don't know. I mean, none of this is critical, but now
right.
As I'm going along, I end up cleaning up stuff and moving stuff to new conventions. And it's a little bit tricky because it feels like work, but it doesn't really add any value, at least not to the project itself. More like makes the code a little bit cleaner to read and stuff like that. But
future you will thank you, so you don't get 800 warnings when you're trying to add another line of code.
Yeah. Well, not even speak for you. I was gonna jump in and ask, speaking of the team and speaking of, code hygiene, like where do things stand on hiring a developer?
Still no progress on that, I guess. Mostly because I've been trying to get the feature moving forward. But I guess part of me is looking at those linter warnings and stuff like that also because we might be onboarding someone into to work with me on that. And I feel like I shouldn't leave as much of a mess behind. But then again, maybe it's a good project to get familiar with the code base.
That actually might be the perfect onboarding project.
Yeah, here's a list of all the things that need to be fixed. Go ahead and fix all of them. But I mean, it would be good to learn the code base, but I feel like it's a shitty job.
I find it so much more fun doing that for other people's code, because when you do it for your own code, you're like, oh, I should have known better. I should have done this before. But cleaning up for somebody else, especially as a way to get to know things, is definitely a lot more fun than doing it. It's I don't know, when I was a kid, I like to pair socks. if they weren't mine, like if I'd go.
I can't believe you grew up to be a software developer.
I don't know. It's so weird, right? No, but I didn't really enjoy it doing it as a chore or kind of for myself, but like doing it for somebody else who kind of had this like mess and needed help. It's like, oh well, I can do that. It's like a meditative kind of thing to do.
It feels helpful. It feels helpful because like you've been there and you know why it's in the state that it's in, and you along the way you wish you would have cleaned it up or whatever. I think it could be a perfect onboarding project. Not like dump, here's all this garbage, person who I don't value, clean it up, but like, hey, here's a great way that's going to like help, move us forward in a real way. And it's going to give you a chance to see all sorts of pieces of the code without having to worry about like breaking something huge. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, there's still plenty. So even though I cleaned up a little bit of it,
there's still some socks where the second sock is like lost.
Yeah,
there's still a lot of things that someone could do. So yeah, I think we're good on that part.
Okay.
But yeah, honestly, I'm not entirely sure about like if I should start like writing a job description and stuff like that, or if I should finish that feature first, because both feel kind of important.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, like once we start publishing this and hopefully start reviewing candidates, it feels like it will suck away most of my time.
Yeah, that'll be full time.
That feels like not a good timing to do this right now. So yeah,
it's never. I bet you it's never going to feel like good timing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Outsourcing never feels like good timing. It's always like, oh, I'm just going to finish this part, and then I'll get somebody to help and onboard that other person. I'm just going to finish this thing, and then I can.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We have to start, like, we want to launch this thing this month, and maybe we're not going to make it, but then we want to launch it early next month. So in the next couple of days and weeks, and it feels like once that is done, it's easier to let go and not focus on the code for a while and shipping stuff, and actually start hiring and looking for someone.
Yeah.
So soonish. But maybe I should just start writing the job description.
No, I mean,
probably will need a few iterations.
I mean, so you should know better than us as to whether or not that is the case. But maybe a good conversation between you and Jane to say, hey, here's why this doesn't feel like great timing to me right now. But can we kind of check that and say, is it ever going to be the right time? And get a
yeah. I'm very sure it will be the right time after we launch this, because that's priority number one right now.
Okay.
And I guess we kind of agreed that once that is done, well, at least once it's launched, it will never be done. It's a good time to actually, start hiring and focus on that part.
Cool. Okay.
I can't wait.
Good luck.
I'm going to use the forms. I'm going to break the forms.
Well, is that a good transition to Benedicte, besides trying to break or looking forward to breaking Benedict? Unless Benedict, anything else on in your
No, that's about it. I mean, nothing too crazy happening other than that.
Yeah. Benedicte, what's happening for you? How are things?
I coded on POW today.
Hey,
that's how I got. Ooh, that's why I got access to the new user list features. I didn't have time to start using them though, but at least I got back into my code base and didn't get anything done, but I got into the code base and started doing some cleaning since it's been so long. So I'm going to move my functions over to Gatsby functions since I know them so well now.
What a good idea. What a great idea. You should take a class on that.
Yeah. I should take a class on that. Maybe Queen Ray's bootcamp on the Gatsby functions could be a good idea. No, but it felt so good. I don't know. It's been like this thing that I've said, I guess, on this podcast for so many weeks now, that I need to get like back on the horse, the POW horse. And I did it today, and it feels really good. And I just wanted to keep on going, of course, but trying to then establish Tuesdays as the POW day, so that I at least work on it every week, like I did with my streams, but then not on stream, but I actually get to do some work on it every Tuesday. And a little bit energized because popped in a new customer yesterday, or was it the day before? And it hadn't really been any in August or September, so that felt good. And it just felt good.
Completely organic new customer, or because you were sort of starting to spin up some?
No, completely organic. So everyone has come this summer. So in July there was quite a few, and then in August and September there hasn't really been any. I haven't double checked, but it seems like there haven't been any. But this one just came in. So all of that has been like super organic, and I don't know where they're coming from because they don't answer my emails and I don't track them. So, but they're mostly Norwegian. So I think there's some word of mouth going on, or I know somebody, one person answered my email about how did you hear about POW, and she said she'd Googled for it in Norwegian, so privacy and menstrual tracker in Norwegian, and landed on. And I think I mentioned this before, actually, now that I'm saying it, but landed on an article about POW that was is quite old now. It's from like 2020. Or no, fall 2019, I think there's an article about me deciding to release POW. And that is the second search that comes up for me, at least, when I search for privacy and menstrual tracker in Norwegian. So there seems like people are like looking for that.
Yeah. Congrats. That's awesome.
Yeah. So at least it's fun. It was fun to code.
Sounds like there's an opportunity there to get more articles out in other languages about this project of yours.
And also start writing some content for my own site, so that since I'm doing this slow and steady, the search juice can like build up over the next 5 to 10 years on privacy and menstrual cycle. So I need to get on, but I decided to focus on the coding a little bit now, and then marketing for Queen Ray, but and then kind of pick up steam for POW again towards Christmas, and then in the new year, I think, and get some solid systems in place, so that it's not, so I don't I'm energized now, and then I do like 2 newsletters and 1 blog post and then nothing for 4 months. Like, rather kind of bunch this up so that when I start doing it, there can be a trickle of things coming out. So probably December, because I'm taking the Queen is taking a break over Christmas. So over to the Queen.
Royal holiday.
Over to the Queen Ray side of my business. My talk at Gatsby Fall Camp, I think it went really well. When I had to I had to be in the chat and like listen to my own talk, and I was like, this wasn't too bad. Like, I had wanted to re-record it. We talked about that, and you guys were like, no.
Yep.
And I listened to it, and I was like, this is pretty good. And people weren't chatting too much, which means they were following, maybe.
Focus.
And I got some good feedback in the chats.
That's so nice. Great. Cool.
Feels like a special kind of torture to have you sit through your own talk.
Yeah.
It's the new world. It's the new way. It's the new way. So then so that went good. And one person even like went on Twitter afterwards saying that my session was super interesting, and that he learned a lot, or something to that regard. So that felt good. Yeah. Always nice to get a little bit of praise.
For sure.
And now that I've settled on training that we talked about last week, I got so many ideas. Like, it's, you're trying to settle so that you'll have less, more, or you have more focus. But as soon as I kind of settle on training, I have so many ideas for what I could do. But I'm trying to always go back to like, what am I good at? That we've talked about, like the live part, and the kind of getting people to actually do things not just like listen to videos or,
Yeah.
I don't want to go into the edutainment. I want to be like actual educational. So I think I settled on kind of calling my stuff like a boot camp kind of concept. So it will be then Gatsby Functions Bootcamp, and then there will be a Gatsby version 4 bootcamp, because version 4 was launched at Gatsby Fall Camp, and it looks super interesting. And I got a sales page up in 10 minutes so people could sign up for the Gatsby version 4 bootcamp. And one person or on the waiting list, or like to get to know more. And then I can have the Gatsby Functions Bootcamp, and then the Gatsby version 4 bootcamp. That will be my main focus, I guess, this semester. So my next step is to follow up on the 80 plus people who have attended one of the free seminars or webinars this summer, and then do 2 more free webinars, and then try to sell these bootcamps.
So, I mean, sounds like you've got a pretty clear vision. That must feel really good.
It does, because first I was like, oh, I could do Gatsby version 4 newsletter course because they seem to be doing really well. And then I was like, but I don't like writing newsletters. Like, that's not my thing. And then and then I was like, so what is my thing? And I was like, oh, I should do a boot camp. And then I was like, yeah, that fits so much better with what like I'm good at. So it's like always trying to like catch myself, and I'm trying to replicate what others are doing, and they are doing well. It's not like it's a bad idea. It's just not good fit for me and the queen.
Yeah. Have we talked before about like the idea of you record some live session and then hire a writer to watch it and produce 2 posts out of it? Have we talked about that?
I've talked about that with people. I don't remember if it was on this show, but yeah, that's definitely in my future. When there's more money involved, I will definitely try to do something like that, and also try to have a video editor then take the live sessions, and then we can repackage it as a course. Because I've seen some courses that have been originally live, and they do have a different type of energy, and often they kind of keep the questions in, so that the questions that come up organically stay kind of in the videos for the course, which gives it a different vibe than like a pre-recorded course that doesn't have that. And I also think, so that's my systems that I'm going to be working on this next week, is that I think when I've done it live, it's going to be easier for me to do the writing. So I think I'll be able to write these emails or newsletters when they're based off of a live session, because then I kind of have that energy and I know what I've been talking about. And then if I write it pretty soon afterwards, I think that could be a good workflow for me. And I'm going to try and do the same thing for our Gatsby deep dive streams, our our unauthorized and rum fueled deep dives on YouTube. I'm going to try and do the same thing there, that I kind of pretty fast kind of do a write up of what we went through on the stream, and then link to the stream to like have a video first workflow.
I was going to say, you could have a really strong workflow and cadence there that leans heavily on your strengths, that like it seeds these other areas of content that you don't like as much.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. Also, one thing just popped into my mind when you mentioned like Gatsby version 4 and newsletter and stuff like that. I noticed recently that one of the, like, I keep in touch with Rails ecosystem and development and stuff like that, and I'm subscribed to at least one newsletter. And the thing I click on the most in those newsletters is basically summaries of new changes to the Rails code base. And it's usually it's like, I guess it's people just following the changelog file on GitHub and then just picking up on interesting stuff and writing a short post about, this is how it used to work, this is how it works now, or this wasn't possible before, this is possible now, and just post those. And I feel like they tend to get popular, and people link them up in newsletters, and I feel like it's a good way to get some qualified traffic to your website and to your content, because me personally, I click on most of them and read most of them, and I recognize the names by now. One of those companies recently signed up for a user list, and I was like, "Whoa, to sign up!" So they were at the top of my mind at all times.
I think that's absolutely a good idea, and especially when I know more like who my audience is and their skill level, I can then make a summary of the changes that I know will kind of resonate with them, because I see that now when Gatsby's released version 4, kind of it's mostly a marketing page or like a sales page to like all the awesomeness of the new version 4, and then there's the migration guide, and then there's the change log, and there's a little overlap between the three, but there's also some nuance that's coming out in the migration guides that are not part of their official kind of announcement of version 4. So it could absolutely be like fun to do a summary of that, and I could even do that live and then write the newsletter on what's changed. So trying to get that like workflow and cadence and all of that up, because I've noticed it's so much easier when I know like, oh, it's Tuesday I'm supposed to do this, and it's Wednesday I'm supposed to do that, or it's every other week I'll check the change log or whatever. Like, it's so much easier now that I kind of know where I want to go, and when I have that kind of schedule in place for myself. Which is so weird, because it's like, 10 years ago I would be like, oh, it's so boring. Every Monday you're supposed to do this, and every Tuesday you record a podcast, and that. But now it's just like comforting and very calming to know exactly what's happening on each day.
For sure.
Yeah. Anything else that's happening?
Yeah. Mike, the folks who wanted an internal talk, they said yes, and they've already paid. So I am doing an internal talk on Introduction to Gatsby in a week's time.
Nice.
So,
heck yeah, that's awesome.
So I got to make a demo and a talk by then.
Wow. Does that feel that part of it, like knowing that you need to prepare some stuff as opposed to going live, does that feel invigorating because you're preparing for something to be live, or does it feel like, okay, I got to power through this part of it because I know that it's going to lead to something better? Like, how are you reacting to that?
The demo part I really liked making the outline, but I think I need to make a couple of slides, and that is not something I enjoy. Or actually I enjoy it too much. I want them to be really pretty, and then I just spend a lot of time on like not making slides. So I usually, for Gatsby camp, fall camp, I just didn't have slides because it was 16 minutes. So I just did my live presentation, and then I jumped into the demo. So I think it will be kind of similar for this. It's an hour-long thing, but I think my slides will be basically the outline, just so that I know kind of what section I'm at. And then, because every section in the outline, I was saying like data layer, and then I'll talk about the data layer a little bit, but then I'll demo the data layer, because I think that's like back to my strengths. Like, I'll demo the different things instead of just talking about it in an abstract way. So I think so I'm not that. I think it's gonna be good. And also just they already paid, right? Which just makes it so much more motivating, because I have done talks like long time ago where you weren't supposed to get that much paid, but then when the conference was over, everybody kind of scattered and nobody was really on the ball anymore, and then you end up chasing this money after the fact. While now that I know that it's paid, like it's a lot. I know that like that part of it is done. All of that admin is done. It's just like coming up with the demo and like delivering the demo. And I think, I'm pretty sure I'll do that satisfying. So, and then knowing I don't have to like do these things after the fact, like, it's so nice.
Yeah. Sounds like
getting paid up front, folks. Do it.
Yeah. Do it. You said that's a week from today?
Yes.
Sweet. Can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's going to be 2 weeks before It's Wednesday next week, so
okay,
folks
gotcha.
are gonna hear about it in 2 weeks.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but yeah,
Cool.
But anyway, so I said I was curious in the introduction. I'm just I'm curious how this all is gonna play out. Like if my boot camps will sell, what content people will be interested in, and if I can make this workflow work for me. It's like if I can make this work so that I'm not becoming overworked trying to run this Queen business.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that.
Thank you. And you, Brian?
Well,
what's up?
Yeah. I mean, I said in the intro that I'm unfocused, and I feel that. I said this last week too. Like I'm just going an inch in every direction, and they are all good directions. So like jtbd.app, it has a couple of paying customers, with some feature requests and some reporting bugs. Consulting leads are continue to sort of trickle in. The board game, the board game contest that Backpack is in, we're like approaching, the next voting phase. We're currently staying minutes away from a gorgeous national park. And something I haven't even mentioned yet, on the podcast, is that there's this potential full-time job that's been, kind of on the radar and continues to develop. So there's like all of those things are good, but on the app, I didn't make a ton of progress. Deployed a better way to load the data visualization chart, so that's good. But it's not like I released 6 things.
I mean, in a week, like one good feature in a week, I would say that is like, that's a high five. Like that is a success. Like you're not allowed to beat yourself up over that.
Oh, okay, yeah. So on the one hand, absolutely. I think the reason I would say that it feels a bit unsatisfying is that, with some focus, it could have been 4 or 5 like noticeable improvements and updates, user facing updates. So I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying like that's why it feels like an inch in that direction. On the consulting side, like I'm definitely neglecting some of these leads, like letting a day or two more than needs to, go by. And it does. I just feel like I need to do a better job of being really focused on one thing for a set, block of hours or day. So like Benedicte, you're talking about, Tuesdays are your this day. That's what it feels to me like I would benefit from is, rather than having, 4 tabs up related to 3 separate projects, which is what inevitably happens over the course of a day, is just hyper focus on one thing. There's this great Twitter thread that I'll be sure to link to in the show notes from Sahil Bloom. And he has really good stuff, by the way. I gravitate towards it because he was a pretty successful college pitcher, and is now a really great writer. And so I love sports as a metaphor for life stuff. And so he's talking about the best way to train is that when you sprint hard, and when you rest hard. And I'm kind of just like meandering. I feel like I'll kind of work, and then I'll kind of rest or play, but then feel like a little bit guilty about playing because I know that I didn't work as hard as I could, but I'm not working as hard as I can because I'm not totally rested, and so it's just this negatively reinforcing spiral, as opposed to these complementary like ways of being really, really rested and working really, really hard.
I know the
So
feeling.
yeah.
I don't know
generally,
what I can only say. Like I know the feeling.
yeah. I think I just in processing it, and I'm still in the middle of it, so which it's always hard to kind of trust yourself in the thick of it. But it really does feel to me like the answer is to just be better about blocking out and protecting big chunks of time, um, and 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 just being more disciplined about this time is set aside for exercise. This is set aside to work on the app. This is set aside to play a board game. This is set aside to work on my board game. And each of those things has a time and a place, and protecting it. But it's just very, very, very hard.
I've been trying to be better at then. So I'm saying I'm supposed to have like 3 hours of focus time every day, which is quite little actually. Like most people would schedule in like a full 8 hour, but and then actually not berate myself as long as I've shown up for those 3 hours. Like even if nothing got done, as long as I worked on what I was supposed to work on, and like it's like this showing up. I keep hearing that in everywhere for like from yoga to everything, like show up on your mats every day, but show up for that focus time and actually do the focus time that I had. So I have decided on different things for different days. It's not set yet, but so for on Tuesday POW, and then be happy, not happy, but be satisfied when that is done. And also my partner will catch me in, because I can also be, well, I should have done more today, or I didn't get as much done, or like I shouldn't be on the couch like doing nothing right now. There's so many things I should be doing. Then it's like, well, did you do your focus time? Will be his response. I'm like, yes, well then you've done what you were supposed to do. Don't keep on because it's so because there's always more to do, right? So like you said earlier to Benedikt, it's like it's never never the good time to rest or take a vacation or any of those things, because there's always stuff you could do. But then trying to be mindful of that like inner talk when you're relaxing or just going for a walk or having a lunch at the cafe, which I've started doing again, and just be like, this is what I planned today. I plan to have a break now, so nothing else I should be doing.
Yeah, I mean, so that's my takeaway, and my goal is to, truly sit back down with my calendar and block out these things that I've just been mentioning. Because it feels creatively unfulfilling, personally, professionally unfulfilling to just kind of make small little incremental pushes. I feel I like the surge forward, and so I gotta figure out how to align myself to that a bit more. So,
but I think you have to,
and
you have to realize you might not be able to do it all, which is like the worst realization when you start doing this. It's like, okay, but if I'm not going to work more than these hours, then there's things that will have to go, or everything will have to take longer, which is what I've kind of settled on. Like, I don't want to give up POW. I don't want to give up Queen Ray, and I need to like do some projects every now and then to keep me with money on the way.
to pay.
So it's just going to take a lot longer than I would have been okay with 5 or 10 years ago. Because I also enjoy the sprints so much, but my like in your life also at the moment don't really accommodate the sprint. Like I could have gone somewhere and just worked like 60 hours just coding and like talking to nobody, but like there's no room for that in my life right now. So then it's slow and steady, right?
It is. Yeah. Well, and so speaking for little room, I've got a hard stop because I've got a call in 3 minutes. But that's everything for me.
I'm sorry, I just talked over there, Brian. I talked over you there, Brian. I just
no. I mean, that was the not at all. That was the end of my notes. Just dying to get back some focus, but it's all in my control. So that at least feels good to recognize. So
good.
We will see. Talk to y'all next week. I'll be in North Carolina. And so nice. I'll be reporting on the weather and good vibes from there.
Ooh. The Outer Banks, are you going?
No, we're not getting back to the coast, I think, until we get to Florida. But I could be wrong on that. So I'll let you know.
Okay, looking forward to it.
We're looking forward to it. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.